So this is a quick sauce you can make. I use, I just happen to have frozen sausage in the pantry, and it was just plain sausage, so I wanted to make it Italian, so I added some more herbs. You can add Italian seasoning to it. I'm gonna add thyme, basil, rosemary, onion and garlic just to get it going, but here I have sausage all browned up. You gotta have it be brown and crusty. That's literally the best part of sausage, and like you don't even know. It's just so much better. To this, I'm gonna go ahead and add 1.5 cloves of garlic. So I say 1.5. I actually cut up 2 cloves of garlic, and they're really, really big. So I'm only gonna use 1.5. You can use 1 if you like a little more garlic, add more garlic. If you like a little less garlic, add less garlic. I love garlic, so I'll add as much as needed. And for this amount of sauce, I would say that's pretty good. For onion as well, dice it up as fine as you can. Because if your kids are like mine, and if they see any chunks, they freak out. So I would say for this, probably this is half an onion. I would probably do 1/4 of an onion. So about 1/4 of an onion in here. And then you're gonna let this saute until the onion is translucent. So once the onion is nice and translucent, then we're gonna add the tomatoes to this. So I'm gonna let this saute a little bit, then we're gonna add the tomatoes. Okay, so we got nice and translucent, and this is exactly what you wanna see. Beautiful caramelization all around. So here's a huge thing. Depending on the onions, you can tell if an onion is strong. Obviously, if it makes you cry, if it smells really strong, it's gonna definitely come in your dish. So a way to combat some of that onion and strong flavor is by adding acidity to it. So that being said, obviously, we're making a red pasta sauce, so I'm gonna add acid by adding the tomatoes. So here we have 3 cans of diced tomatoes. So you're gonna mix it all up. And as soon as it gets all incorporated, all those brown bits that are at the bottom and on the side of the pan, just scrape them so you can get them into the sauce, make it nice and yummy. So another way that this works out too is you can actually take, if you have it and if you need it, an immersion blender, and you can blend it up a little bit if you don't want chunky tomatoes. You can also take a potato masher and just mash them up a little bit once you get them down a little bit. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna add a little bit more to this sauce to give it a kick. So here are those herbs I promised you. Beautiful thyme and rosemary and oregano. Then we're gonna add a good, I'd say 2 pinches of salt. Don't get mad at me. That's probably about 1/2 teaspoon of salt. We're gonna stir that up a little bit. And then I'm gonna add about a tablespoon of sugar. That's gonna cut some of that acidity and make it a little bit sweeter. I'm gonna taste it later. I might need to add a little more. It's all dependent on the tomatoes that you get, because sometimes they're more bitter than others, and depending on what you use, you might need a little more or a little less. Then obviously the piece de resistance, don't judge me, whatever, is some red wine. So I'd probably say about 2 tablespoons of red wine. This is about 1/4 cup of red wine. So I just add a little bit first. Big pro tip for all of this, it's always easier to add more than it is to take out, because everyone knows we've all made that mistake where we put too much salt in something, or too much sugar, or too much whatever that may be, and then you can't really bring it back. So I always do a little less than I normally would, and then I taste it after it's simmered for a little bit, because once it simmers, it's gonna get less, a little bit less, the water's gonna evaporate a bit. And then once it evaporates, you're gonna actually get more of a dense, rich flavor. So you have to make sure that in the beginning you taste it, and then you taste as you go. So we're gonna let this simmer for probably about 20 minutes. Then I'm gonna taste it again, see if I need to add anything else. Then we're gonna let it simmer for another 15 minutes, and we should be good to go. Okay, so officially your sauce is done. It's reduced down to about half, which is awesome. Beautiful. So you're gonna top it onto your gorgeous pasta right next to your fresh focaccia that you baked. And before you gotta top it with some fresh Parmigiano. And then you gotta call in the troops. So, girls, dinner's ready. You ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's try it. Here you go, Lily. This one's yours. Ready?
I have to get it out.
Cheers.
Look, I have to get it out.
Okay.
I got it. Oh no, I don't. The pasta fell off my.
You gotta slurp it.
I know, that's what I'm trying to do.
Yum.
That's
Worth the wait.
good.
Try this with your family. Bye.
This is